Hey, welcome back to day 11 now of Project Me. Gonna get right into it. First up with the daily reflection, and then the book, of course, and then lastly, gratitude. So, in terms of what has happened today, it's been very odd. It's been a day of wins and a day of losses, or rather, loss. So, very good and very bad. Let's talk about it. So, first up, this morning, let's see. Woke up, intended to jump up at 6 a.m. I, in fact, did not jump up at 6 a.m. and I slept in again. I think it's because I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm going to bed at a good time. It's just a matter of falling asleep, which is the problem. So, I genuinely do not know how I can get better at that. I suspect it might be a case of just getting up early, anyways, being tired for a day, and eventually getting into the motion. As long as I get up at 6, I'll fall asleep earlier, and so on and so on. I'm hoping it's that, because if not, then I genuinely have no idea how to go about fixing that. But we move. Second thing today, went to criminal law, the tutorial for that, and tried to work through a problem question that they gave us. And man, this is what I'm finding with law, both my law subjects this year. It's really hard to put all the puzzle pieces together. So when I'm faced with a problem question, it's like, I kind of know what to do, but damn, I've got no idea actually how to go about solving the problem, the issue at hand, which is a little bit concerning. Because normally I'd like to think of myself as a very high achieving student, and normally the puzzle pieces just come together. And it's not like I'm shying away from work. I'm a little bit behind, but that's because I was sick. It's not like I'm shying away from work, but the fact is just, it's really hard to conceptualize in my head. And maybe part of the reason that is because it's so theoretical, what we're learning, and it's really hard to apply practically, given I'm a student, of course. So that may be a factor. Another factor is I just need to do more work, which frankly with my work-life balance is inconceivable. I do plenty of work as it is. My work ethic is, I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything, but I do work a lot more, probably more than I should, to the point that I know it's unsustainable, but I don't have a better solution. So take from that what you will. But anyways, I went to the tutorial today and faced the problem, and I was like, wow, I kind of know what it's talking about, but I have no idea how to actually go about solving it. So that was another issue today that I've realized. But anyways, after that, good news. We went to my international relations lecture. We had the guest lecturer, was actually the same guy who delivered the Kippenberger lecture yesterday, the very famous, prestigious lecture that I spoke about. And then I went to my international relations tutorial, and in that tutorial I had to present an analysis of one of the readings that we were assigned. And so my reading was on Hong Kong, and essentially the development from the joint statement by the UK and China, which promised that there would be two systems, one country. So China, the Communist Party of China, would leave untouched the Hong Kong system of governance, at least for 50 years. But of course that wasn't true, and they've pretty much completely gone back on their word. So I talked about that reading, and I actually had a really good time talking about it when I was presenting, and I got a round of applause afterwards, which is really encouraging. Got a lot of questions, and actually my professor, every time someone does one of these presentations, he always has a question, which is quite thought-provoking. But today, after everyone else had asked me some questions, I was eyeing up Jason, which is the professor, and I said, Jason, you always have a question. What's tickling your fancy right now? And he looks at me and he goes, Ben, I have no questions for you. Priceless. For me, priceless. That was a good sign. I took that. And then, of course, I sat down, and some friends of mine who were nearby, well, colleagues rather, I wouldn't call myself friends. We're not close or anything, but they said they did a good job. And so that was really nice. That was really nice to hear. I do find that I'm at my most charismatic either when I've had alcohol or when I have had the opportunity to present and it's gone well. Just being able to I'm quite soft-spoken normally. I don't know if you'd believe it looking at these videos, but I am normally quite soft-spoken. And I'm not soft-spoken when it comes to audiences. I tend to project a lot more unconsciously. I don't realize I do it, but I do. I think it's just a desire. It comes from an innate desire not to stand out, I suppose. So when I'm in small groups, small rooms, I don't tend to project my voice, but as soon as there are a group of people listening to me, it becomes natural. Maybe that's just a result of having done drama years ago. I don't know. Theatre, as it were. And then after that, went home, cooked dinner. That was something else entirely. So tonight was chicken burgers. The chicken, the spice, excuse my French, fucking fantastic. Delicious. And then I cooked it early so I could leave for something else. I'll talk about that in a minute. And so I was in a hurry. I did everything. The mayonnaise, sorry, not the mayonnaise, the coleslaw, which I'd never made in my life, despite being white. I know. Did not turn out too great because I froze the cabbage leaves. It's not leaves, the cabbage, for lack of a better word coming to mind, cabbage splinters that you put in coleslaw. I froze them weeks ago. I forgot about them, and then I realized today I had them. I was like, I'll use them up. So I took them out and I was trying to defrost them. They did not defrost. It just got really soggy. So that was a whole problem. But I solved it eventually. The mayonnaise turned out to be adequate. I hate saying that word. But then I also made fries as well. That should have been fine. But I think I used the wrong oven setting by accident. And so I put the timer on for 25 minutes at 250 Celsius. Dazzle them in a little bit of olive oil and some salt. The timer goes out 25 minutes later. I open it and it is like it's not charcoal black, but it's certainly not far from it. Certainly not far. And it's funny because the inside certainly wasn't cooked through, but the outside was, well, you get the idea. I mean, they were fine, if you don't mind a slightly burnt taste, they tasted fine. They weren't really, they weren't crispy or anything, which is also very odd. Subpar, but, so that was a bit of a loss as well, but we move, I wasn't gonna let it get me down. And then after that, I left straight away for the foreign policy speech that I mentioned yesterday. Our foreign minister was delivering the yearly lecture on New Zealand foreign policy. So I went to that, had a good time, drank the free wine, of course, ate the free food, of course. That's why I go to these events, man. It's not to meet people. It's not to network. It's not because I'm interested in the topic. It's for the food. If I'm being completely honest. But really good. I do love meeting students my age at those things, or around my age, because they're very often definitely not your run-of-the-mill people that you meet. Like, for example, I walked back with a guy called Taryn from Parliament today, and we were talking, and his dad is German. He spent a gap year in Germany. Didn't mean for it to become a gap year, but it did, because he just didn't want to leave. He spent time with his family in Germany, got an internship there. It was doing full immersion in German, so really making use of the German that his dad taught him. And of course, he's travelled as well when he was doing that, so he stayed in hostels, and just really cool to meet people like that, because I find the most interesting people are those that have travelled, because when you've travelled, it really opens your eyes, and it's really hard to explain to someone who hasn't travelled, because, of course, they probably haven't moved away from where they were born. But when you have travelled, you're in a completely different world. I mean, the culture is different, the language is different, the mannerisms are different. Just how power is structured, how just body language, facial expressions, things like that. It's just starkly different. It's so interesting. Really, really interesting. So those people who have actually seen that and can come back and talk about it, I find to be the most interesting people on the planet. It's really nice to be able to, connect with them and talk about things like that. There's always quite a few of those people at these events. And in general as well, there's a lot of diplomats, of course, you would imagine it. And of course, they've spent time overseas. But people who have the privilege, like me, to grow up and travel because of whatever reason it may be, those people I love talking to. They just have such a very unique perspective on the world, and you can tell by how they conduct themselves and what they say, what comes out of their mouth. It's really, really interesting. I love it. Anyways, went to that event. That was really, really cool. Loved that. Connected with some old people that I've met at some of these other events, of course. So that was good. Just come back from that, which is why I'm still dressed like this. I wouldn't normally record videos, and this I feel like it's a bit pretentious. But I just want to get this out of the way and then crack on to some work that I have to do before bed. So that's why I'm recording it in this. Otherwise, believe me, I wouldn't. But in any case, I think that's today's reflection. In terms of getting up in the morning, I think I just have to overcome the block, the mental block, and just get out of bed and do it. Just do it, as Shia LaBeouf says. And for the criminal law and conceptualizing all these, so I've just got an alarm popping up on my screen, conceptualizing all these ideas that is law, I think I just need to review my notes a bit more. But when I have the time to do that, I have no idea. I'm too busy as it is. I will have to find a way, though. I will have to find a way. And lastly, for the fries, well, I suppose use the right oven setting. I don't know. But anyways, let's move on to the book. Today is May 1st. And I'm thirsty. Okay. May 1st. Make character your loudest statement. For philosophy doesn't consist in outward display, but in taking heed to what is needed and being mindful of it. That is Musonius Rufus in Lectures. I've never heard of him before, actually, so the more you know. Meet someone new every day, even if they've been dead for 1900 years. Don't know. Anyways, the monk dresses in his robes. This is what Ryan Holiday has to say about it. The monk dresses in his robes, a priest puts on his collar, a banker wears an expensive suit and carries a briefcase. A stoic has no uniform and resembles no stereotype. They are not identifiable by look, or by sight, or by sound. The only way to recognize them, by their character. Well, I like that. I don't know if that's realistic in today's world. I think there are dress codes you have to follow, professionally at least. Like, I've noticed that every time I wear a suit to one of these foreign policy events, I'm treated vastly different than had I showed up in, obviously a t-shirt, but like a polo shirt or something like that. The difference that you feel is very remarkable, I will say. So despite your appearance, I think it is important. But having said that, I think a general rule you should follow is to stand out through your character. I mean, why would you not, right? Why would you not want to be known by the strengths of who you are? You want to wear them with pride, So that's what I'm getting from that. And the issue I find with a statement like that, though, is that there's no way for you to measure it. You depend on others to tell you themselves what your character is, or you depend on others to tell you what your reputation is, which can be quite tricky because, of course, people don't often tell you what they think of you. And if they do, it's almost certainly not the entire truth. So it's very hard. It's really hard to get feedback on who you are as a person. Because often the people you most need feedback from are the ones, one, you're not comfortable asking to begin with, two, aren't comfortable sharing with you what they really think. And I feel like there's a third point. And three, you shouldn't trust to begin with because they might have ulterior motives. That's very pessimistic of me, I know. But anyways, 3 things I'm grateful for. We'll do it quickly. I am grateful for the opportunity to participate in these events. It's really cool to meet some fantastic people. Secondly, I'm grateful to my flatmate's boyfriend, again, for this time letting me use his rain jacket. It was pouring rain today. Someone up there was crying hard. Hope they're okay. So the rain jacket came in clutch for walking to Parliament. And thirdly, I am grateful for Eve. She complimented my presentation today. And it was just really nice of her. She's a wonderful person. Very, very nice. I hope I get to know her better, actually. Just seems like a lovely person. So, anyways, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow, Ben. I hope all the work you set out to do now at 9 o'clock goes well for you, because your lecture is at 8:30 in the morning and you really should show up. So, just saying. Tomorrow I'm also going to, I guess I'll tell you tomorrow anyways. You'll find out tomorrow, Ben, what you're up to. You know you're watching this from the future. Anyways, take care guys. See you later.